KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead. It's 1 below. Hopefully see a high of 0 today. Sunny skies. I'm Madison Quinn. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead in rural Kidder County in North Dakota on Monday afternoon. The death may be storm-related. Kidder County is west of Jamestown. Sheriff Barry Vanetta says the body was located in a ditch shortly after noon. Vanetta says it appears a 56-year-old Timothy Becker of Robinson left his vehicle after turning onto a low-maintenance road. Vanetta says he believes Becker got lost in whiteout conditions after turning onto a minimum maintenance road. The Walsh County Sheriff's Department is investigating the discovery of a body in a burned-out vehicle in a field north of Minto in northeast North Dakota. Sheriff Ron Juergens said snowmobilers discovered the body last Friday.
This was called in by some people out on snowcats, and they found the burned-out vehicle and found that there was a body inside. So they called us. We went down and quite a ways off the roadway, so it took us a while to get there. And
Juergens says deputies were able to determine the registered owner of the vehicle, but they are waiting on positive identification. Circumstances leading to the death remain under investigation. He says there's no indication of a crime in the death. The State Crime Bureau and Fire Marshal's Office are assisting with the investigation. Cass County Commissioners have delayed a vote about whether to approve a 15-year tax break for a proposed soybean processing plant just west of Castleton after complaints from local residents happened during a public hearing.
Prior to the hearing, Joe Raso of the Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC outlined a long list of positive economic impacts the project would have, including a market for soybean producers in the region and about 60 jobs paying about $90,000 annually. He said if the project is voted on and successful, it will be the largest primary sector project in the history of Cass County. Some of the residents said they support the plant, but not the location adjacent to the city limits and large residential areas. It would be adjacent to the city limits. Others say the pilot exemption is too long. Castleton resident and business owner Greg Kemple said there's been no prior input for local residents. He says that's not the way to do things in Castleton. Castleton Citizens for Responsible Growth, opposed to the current plant, has been organized. The group's asking the agricultural community to support the city and put pressure on those who want to build too close to Castleton. Don Haney, News Radio, KFGO.
Cass County Commissioners will take up the issue again in 2 weeks. Grand Forks has given initial approval to a Chinese company's proposed $700 million corn milling facility. Officials say it could be the largest private sector investment in the community's history. Numerous people addressed the council in the public comment section of the meeting, including Michael Coachman, who is actually a Larimore resident. He called for a civilian's arrest of the entire city council.
Is what we would like to do is with the authority of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the U.S. Constitution and the North Dakota Century Code that is spelled out in 29-06-1 and a couple other. I am Michael Coachman, and we, the people of Grand Forks City and the county of North Dakota, hereby informing you that you are placed, you, the mayor, Brandon, Brzezinski, Danny Williams, Katie, Brett, Jennifer Mock, Kyle, Dana, Todd, Phelan, Joseph Quinn, and Dan Zgodowski as citizens arrest on the following charges.
Coachman claimed the public officials violated federal laws prohibiting support of a foreign government, as well as state laws related to the refusal to perform duties in criminal conspiracy. He also included Senators John Hoeven and Kevin Kramer and Congressman Kelly Armstrong and Governor Doug Burgum to the list. Council approved a development with the Fufeng Group on Tuesday that allows the project to move forward with financing and permitting. KFGO Weather Center forecast, currently 1 below. Looking for a high near 0 today, sunny skies. West winds 5 to 15. Tonight, overnight low 23 below, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, look for sunny skies, high of 3 above. South winds around 10 miles an hour, shifting to the east in the afternoon. Thursday night, mostly clear, 25 below. Friday, jump up to a high of 8 above. And Saturday, a high of 25 and sunny. I'm Madison Quinn, KFGO News.
I don't know if we're just taking crazy pills, if it's the fact that we just got off of 5-day consistent blustery conditions, snow, cold. But it's like 0 degrees, it's sunshine, and there's no wind. It ain't bad outside right now. Are we just going crazy? Or is that just showing how long this winter's been across North Dakota and Minnesota? A lot of people are feeling the same way. So it's because it's not that much wind out there today, but it's noticeable, and hopefully it's helping clear off some of those roads with that sun shining out there. There's a couple of things that Madison Quinn just brought up in the Kfgo News update that I do want to get into. But first, I do believe that at some point today, they're expecting to announce who the next president of NDSU is. I do believe. If that does happen sometime between now and 5 o'clock, we will get you the latest on that, as I am sitting here trying to see if there has been any updates. I know that the Board of Higher Education had gone into some executive meetings. I visiting with Scott Bollier yesterday about the Challey Institute's presentation going on later this afternoon. He had mentioned that they're going to be competing with that announcement today. So just looking for the latest there. And if, in fact, it breaks between the end of the show, we'll talk about that and see if there's, the qualifications. There's been a lot of attention drawn to this, a lot of attention about the process. So we'll give you the latest there. But what we just heard at the Kfgo News Center, there's a couple of items. They're not the exact same, but boy, they are similar enough in what we're hearing when it comes to that balance of citizens, residents, what they're hoping for with their community, and development, in particular when it comes to large facilities, plants. Some people clearly handling it probably more professionally than others. When you think about what you just heard at the corn milling situation in Grand Forks, and quite frankly, an activist that has certainly been in the news before about some of the antics, but trying to, as citizens, arrest the mayor and the entire commission, council. A little ridiculous. No, it is ridiculous. Entirely ridiculous. Not just a little. It's idiotic. It was a stunt. And it just, he's got his talking. But the underlying aspect of the whole debate on the plant in Grand Forks, and then just doing a hop, skip, and a jump west of where I'm sitting right now, in which you've got a Cass County meeting that happened last night about this soybean crushing plant in Castleton. It boils down to a couple of things. And quite frankly, I understand it. And I think you do as well, because my question is quite simple. These large facilities, do you want them near your house? Do you want them in your backyard is kind of the bottom line when it comes to this. We've had similar discussions about other types of plants, about other types of operations that have accompanying more traffic, foul smells, the lighting situation, and it's boiling down to where you want to place these things. Because as we, quite frankly, I think we're the first to bring it to you when it comes to some of the concern from the residents in Castleton about the proposed plant out there, about the soybean crushing plant, and discussing with them, they're saying, quite frankly, we're fine with the operation. We're fine with the development and just the value added of what it could do to our agriculture community. We just don't want it in our backyard. Move it 5 miles away. You've heard the same thing when it comes to, say, hog farm operations, whether that's, at Buffalo or whether that's in Devil's Lake in that area. People, look, we understand the need for it, but we just don't want it in our backyard. Move it a few miles away to help mitigate some of the unpleasantries that come with it, some of the things that, nobody wants to smell at. Nobody wants to be dealing, nobody wants to look at these sort of things. We understand the necessity of it and the what could be brought to the community, to our neighbors because of it. My question is, do you fault these residents for speaking up, those that do it civilly, those that aren't just putting on a show as what you just heard up at Grand Forks? The fact that you've got communities saying, you know what, just not in my backyard. My question is, would you want this in your backyard? Whether it's about a soybean crushing plant, whether it's about a corn milling plant, whether it's about any other operation. Because I have not found very many people that have said this is outrageous what I'm hearing in Castleton or Grand Forks. As far as what the the reasoning why we want to move this 5 miles. Not just completely do away with this development. Don't do away with the growth. Don't do away with the jobs. Just move it out a little bit further. And I want you to put yourself in that position. If you have that young family in the house that, look, it's a smaller community. We moved out here for a reason because of some of the quietness of it. Do you find yourself at all scratching your head saying, what's wrong with these individuals? Do you think about the added economic impact it's going to have for your community, what it could do for any number of things? If you own that business in town, you're going to maybe have a little bit more foot traffic through the door. You know, you think about it, maybe not right away, and that's what Cass County is trying to figure out. But in the long run, you're going to maybe have some more economic tax valuation that comes in because of the type of growth going on. I get it. I mean, I do. And I think the bottom line, the thing that's got to be figured out, and the fact that Cass County, I think correctly so, whether you want to say kick the can down the road or punt it until 2 weeks, I hope they're coming back to the table with some answers as to what you were hearing from people when it comes to those tax dollars, when it comes to the traffic and where the road's going to go. But my question is, you put yourself in that position, where do you find yourself? Do you find yourself saying, you know what, build it and we'll be fine, we'll just move on? Or is it not in my backyard for you? You can let me know at the text club, which is 35270. If you want to call in, give your take as well at 237-5948. It's going to be built somewhere, and it might not be here in North Dakota, so you want to have that balance. But would you be one of those that's standing up at these commission meetings saying, look, not in my backyard? We'll have that conversation and so much more coming up in a little bit. The Home and Garden Show is going to be in town. We've got tickets to give away. We'll tell you what you could expect from there, and also in the great state of Minnesota, what's going on across the river here. I'm Tyler Axis. Afternoons Live just getting started here Wednesday afternoon on KFGO.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
2:21. Hey, we're fast approaching 2:22 Wednesday afternoon Got a full lineup for you tonight following Afternoons Live. Of course, you got the Drive Time News, Couch Potato Radio, Hennessy on Hockey, and, of course, KFGO Today. It really felt like the week slowed down because of this whole winter weather. I mean, it was essentially a 5-day weather event that really drug on, but now I'm looking at it. We're halfway there, and we'll get you there in style here throughout the evening. We're discussing, if you're just joining us, you've got a couple of the not in my backyard moments. That's not unique. I mean, it's not the first. It won't be the last. But I ask you to put yourself in the position of the residents of whether that's Castleton or up in Grand Forks. They're not the exact same situation. Some of the arguments are vastly different, especially when it comes to the Grand Forks corn milling, because you've got the whole I mean, if you heard the argument, as unusual as it was about foreign governments and stuff, because you've got investments coming in that's not necessarily just from your neighboring states, it's from other countries. But I mean, the underlying thing is there are people that understand the need to have these. They just don't want it so close to their backyards, and I don't blame them for that. But I wonder where you find yourself. Tyler Castleton needs to look at the long-range plan and not fence themselves in. They are a growing community. So when you throw that out, I can take that one of two ways. So I'll ask for you to clarify for me here. Because the long-range plan of not fencing themselves in, if you build this plant so close and zone that in a way of what you've got that plant, when we think about growth, I mean, you're fencing yourself in that way, or are you saying that, hey, it's a growing community. These are part of the growing pains that come with it. You have investments, you've got people, you got players, so to speak, that look at what is going on, because I don't think you're wrong in saying they're a growing community. I mean, you could drive through town or see the growth in the housing, in particular on the northern side by the school down there, and you are seeing growth. I mean, if you're trying to figure out a spot as an investor, as somebody that's looking for that place to put your stake in the ground, saying, right here, it's Castle, it's close to the interstate. You've got the rail system. You've got some of the infrastructure there. Not all of it, but you've got some of it. Why not look at this community? So elaborate a little bit more, because I could take that argument two separate ways without necessarily coming up to the answer of, yes, it should be right on the side of town, or no, it should be, say, 5 miles away. Because for me, when I think about growing up in that rural aspect, now, I mean, people are going to say, is Castleton really rural when you're thinking you're so close to metro? I do think it is. But if you were to put it, as some people are advocating, say 5 miles out, I think that the community itself is still going to have some of the benefit of the traffic, so to speak. I'm not talking about the hundreds of trucks coming through, but the individuals that are going to stop at your Senex, are going to stop at your cafe, grab a lunch, maybe they're going to set up shop. You still get the benefit, I think, economically, even if that is not, quote, right bumping up on the fence of the town itself, as you're saying. Because you think about a grain elevator. It's not necessarily right in town in some of these aspects. You might have 15 miles out of town. It's there. You got the workers come from that 30-mile radius. And in fact, I'm not even sure. That used to be, we're cool driving 30 miles to and from to get to work. You still have that aspect, whether it's 15 miles out with that grain elevator being built. You got the staff, and they're still making that trek sometimes to town, now, of course, weather permitting, to go into the cafe, to go into the coffee shops, the gas stations. So that small town of 500 people, you pick any one across the region, if you have that instance, still getting the benefit without having some of the heartache that you're hearing from the residents of Castleton. Now, one thing that I think is becoming a little bit more clear from what I'm witnessing, and this is just my opinion, and if you think I'm wrong, whether you're on the Cass County Commission or if you're part of the city development, we've had both sides of this on now, and we'll continue to invite. If you want, 237-5948. We had the concerned citizens. We had economic development. What I'm starting to read through the lines here is, yes, there's a process. And if you missed the podcast, kfgo.com, those interviews are right there. You can get them wherever you get your podcasts. But it seems from people that wanted to be both on record or off record that this was kind of rolled out and that this is the plan. Please go along with it. And instead of maybe doing some of the community town hall situation, which maybe that's just nostalgia for me, and getting the input up front. Now it seems as though, and I'll go to the Cass County meeting last night in which you got citizens, both lawmakers and people just, wanting to have their voices heard, saying the tax situation, too long. It's too much. The citing of it. I just wonder if some of this could have been avoided had it been brought another way. Instead of from the state coming to this area, could it have been avoided? We don't know. But it certainly seems as though they've been caught off guard in the decision-making process to date. We'll continue the conversation. I've got messages talking about the Chinese company that's going to be the corn milling up in the Grand Forks area. I'll get back to those. But there is something going on at the Fargo Dome this week. It's the Home and Garden Show. I've got some tickets to get you through the Fargo Dome doors so you can go look at the she sheds. You can think about your gardening, all your updates. We're going to be visiting with an individual that's part of that show coming up right after KFGO News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Rick Electric. Proud to serve the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Day or night, they're here for you. Find them at rickelectric.com.
And Fargo-Moorhead sunny. It is 0 at 2:30. I'm Paul Jerkins. The North Dakota Board of Higher Education has just named a new president for NDSU. Named moments ago, University of Kansas Vice Chancellor David Cook. He will succeed NDSU President Dean Bouchani. Cook is expected to take office on or about July 1st. A Robinson, North Dakota man may be the victim of the storm. The body of 56-year-old Timothy Becker was discovered on a minimum maintenance road in Kidder County, west of Jamestown, Monday afternoon. Sheriff Barry Vanetta.
Visibility was 0. He took a wrong turn. He wound up on a low-maintenance road. I don't know at this time if he ran out of gas or if he panicked and tried to go get help and started walking. Due to the cold temperature and the high winds, the autopsy isn't completed. But just with me, I think hypothermia is what got him.
Becker's body was found shortly after noon on Monday. An autopsy will determine the cause of death. The Walsh County Sheriff's Office in northeastern North Dakota is investigating the death of a person whose body was found in a burned-out vehicle north of Minto last Friday. Sheriff Ron Juergens, the snowmobilers, found the remains. He says there's no indication that a crime played a role in the death.
Because of the weather conditions, Jurgen says heavy equipment was used to clear a path to the scene. Positive identification will be made by the UND Forensic Pathology Lab. 0, this is KFGO News. Sunny, it's 0. This is KFGO News. A suburban Minneapolis high school has informed New Prague athletics officials that it will not compete in any further games against its teams this year because of racial taunting. The St. Louis Park athletics director sent an email to his counterpart at New Prague, which said, "We will not be victimized by racism in the future." He says the boys' hockey program was subjected to racist taunts last week while playing in New Prague. 2 Fargo chefs have been named semifinalists for James Beard Awards, the most prestigious honor in the culinary industry. Austin Kilvert of downtown Fargo's Rosewood was one of 19 chefs shortlisted for Outstanding Chef, the top overall honor given to chefs by the foundation. Ryan Nitschke, the executive chef and co-owner of the South Fargo restaurant Luna, was one of 20 chefs who made the list for Best Chef in the Midwest. The winners of each category will be announced at a ceremony in Chicago in June. North Dakota Commerce Commissioner James Lamone says the state's goal of carbon neutrality by 2030 has caught the attention of a number of businesses, not only in the U.S., but around the world.
When you have a country like Japan, for example, that has a carbon neutrality goal by 2050, and we look at them and say, hey, we want to get there 20 years earlier, we could work with you innovatively on a solution to basically capture the carbon, create the product that you desire, and move it out via a transportation mode that is somewhat inexpensive. Suddenly people's ears perk up.
According to LeBone, $30 billion worth of projects are being developed, spanning a lot of targeted industries.
So you have this unique mixture of energy, value-added energy, ag, and value-added ag, all coming together to meet global demand, where people are willing to pay a premium for our product.
Lamone says the growth will happen statewide, thanks in part to a proposed natural gas pipeline from the Bakken to the Red River Valley. Now he says the state is intent on attracting workers. Sunny, right around 0 for our high this afternoon. We are at 0 at our KFGO studios in South Fargo now. Overnight cold, partly cloudy, and 23 below. Sunny tomorrow, high in the afternoon, about 3 degrees, 25 below, mostly clear tomorrow night. Sunny for Friday, 8 degrees, mid-20s. Saturday, sunny, mostly sunny Sunday, and 18. And again, the North Dakota Board of Higher Education has just hired a new president for NDSU. He is University of Kansas Vice Chancellor David Cook. Fargo-Moorhead, 0. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, there you have it. I said at the top of the show, I thought NDSU was going to be making an announcement. David Cook, now going to be the president of North Dakota State University. Rusty Halverson, part of the Farm and Ranch team in studio. So here, let me just fill in the audience because my producer, Eric Johnson, goes, I've got something for you too, but I want to do it live on air. We have no idea what.
No, and it's a callback from a couple weeks ago. We had a lot of questions involved, and I was able to pick something up for you guys. A little strawberry milk.
Strawberry milk, the guy does it for us. All right, we're doing an on-air taste test of this? Okay, I'm glad he brought 2 cups and not you and I having...
It is the pandemic. Shall I serve?
You open her up.
Okay.
But it also answers the question as to what it's called. It's Nesquik.
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 What was that?
We couldn't figure out what the actual name was.
Yeah, I think
so. That has been in the fridge. It is nice and cold.
You better check the Best Buy date on that thing.
Don't worry about that.
It's May. It's May, so it's good and fresh.
Boy, this Nesquik keeps for a long time, huh? There you go. Just manhandle that wrapper over there, Rusty Halverson.
I've thrown a couple of hay bales.
Now, did you buy one for yourself to try?
No,
so
I did not.
You're blind.
So,
boy, that looks.
I'll bring yours over, Eric. Hold on.
Very pink.
Yeah.
It looks, quite frankly, like you would just chop up a strawberry and throw into a bucket of milk. Okay, you're going to go give him one?
I'll be right back.
All right, I'll hold on and just sit here and try to stretch this time as the Nesquik strawberry milk. It's going to go real good with my iced coffee, by the way.
Strawberry and chocolate works.
All right.
Strawberry and coffee, not so much.
And there's, if you really like it, there is a little left.
Oh, good. Yeah, that'll power me through my afternoons. Okay, I'm going for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nope. It's
I like it.
Yeah, well, you by all means you can take that back to the egg sector. Then back
Yeah, I'll take that into the production studio.
It's sweeter than I expected.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, you put strawberry into a form of ice cream, or sure, milk drinkable, not so much for me.
Yeah.
Now, did they have the chocolate option next to it? And you just
Oh yeah, absolutely they did. But
and
you guys,
you kept that one for yourself.
well, of course.
Okay, well, I'm gonna down the rest of this one as I hear what's the latest.
I'm a yes.
You're a
yes?
yes?
Yes, I'm a yes on this.
I mean, if I were stuck in my apartment in college and this was the only thing left because I was too lazy to go to the store, I would, and I wouldn't complain, but I wouldn't be picking it up on my list.
Fair.
It's not making the cut.
No, that's fair. That's
to
fair.
each their own. If you
each their own.
If you enjoy your strawberry milk, Eric Johnson's got the hookup for you. He can tell you exactly what aisle to go down.
It's called, I believe it was a holiday station.
It's a gas station, even better. The convenience in that convenience store right there.
The best sushi in town.
Yes, egg salad from a grocery store. I bought an egg salad sandwich from a grocery store once, and somebody thought I had lost my mind.
Well, no.
That's what I thought. I didn't get sick. What's the weirdest thing that you bought from a grocery or a convenience store, a gas station, food or drink related, that other people are saying no? 35270. You send them in. People are like, well, you don't get like the roller egg rolls, do you? Or the hot dogs? Why not? I mean, I trust it.
Roll the dice.
I have not. I've rolled the dice and I haven't lost yet. I'm not saying, and that might not be coming up on a shake or two. The thing that you're not supposed to eat from a gas station that you have, 35270. Rusty, with that, I kick it to you.
Yeah, well, you and I were talking off mic earlier today about how, it's cold outside, but it feels a lot better. And weather-wise, earlier this week, some folks might not have been able to get to the Northern Corn and Soybean Expo. One of the panels that they had there was called Navigating Rough Waters Global Supply Chain Challenges. Now, on that panel, Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. That panel covering infrastructure, rail, truck. Kelly Crepu was on the panel as well. And, they talked about a lot of topics, and it's a topic that's not going away. But they discussed it with the farmers that were on hand. The Department of Justice last week saying it was stepping up efforts to monitor for companies that exploit supply chain disruptions to engage in collusive conduct. The DOJ saying it's undertaking a new initiative if anybody suspects that any companies are ratcheting up prices using supply chain as an excuse, that they want people to get in contact with them because it's a watchdog. And they don't want anybody using supply chain issues to jack up prices.
Profit a little bit.
Yeah, as we get closer to the planting season and we're trying to bring in our inputs and get seed in the ground. And, it's something that it's on the radar, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, and rightfully so. I mean, we've all known it. That's been one of the top conversations at a coffee table, wherever you are, is supply chain and cost of things. Both, I mean, they're not unrelated.
Yep.
But if you have that other factor, somebody's taking advantage of that situation to throw a little bit more in their pocket, all right, that's something that I would want the Department of Justice to
do. Yeah, the DOJ wants to know if that's going on.
Very good. Rusty, I appreciate it, man. You come back next hour, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, you take that Nesquik strawberry milk.
Thanks for the strawberry milk.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It was a couple-week-old bit that I remembered we were talking about in Rusty's segments.
I see that there's like 14 grams of protein there, so you can throw a couple more of them hay bales in the future as well.
Yeah, bulk up.
Let's get you caught up with CBS National News. Home and Garden Show, that's going on this weekend at the Fargo Dome. We're going to be talking about that next, and plus I've got some passes to get you through the door. Then more coming up right after this.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio. Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
It starts this Friday, the 60th anniversary showcasing of the home and garden industries. It's the Home and Garden Show, hosted by the Home Builders Association of the Fargo-Moorhead area. Tom Spaeth, he is with Accent Kitchen and Bath, part of this whole operation. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. Appreciate it.
I was saying as we're walking in, because we've all been cooped up for about 5 days now.
Yes.
You guys are going to have a great showing this weekend.
I think people are just going to run into the dome just to get in and do something.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, get out of the house, get into the dome, and then start visioning what your garden's going to look like in the backyard. You got the patio. You want to have the hot tub, the grill. It's all going to be taking place this weekend.
100%. They're going to be looking at all kinds of great stuff out there.
Yeah. Oh, and there was a lot. I saw the vendor list. And, I hope you got your walking shoes on, folks, because you're going to want to stop at all the booths. There's so many of them. But to have this going on for so many years, it tells you that there's something's right about this.
Yeah, this has been a long-running thing with the Home Builders Association of Fargo-Moorhead, and I'm proud enough to say I've been doing these shows since 1999. I've done every show since, and it's been just a great run for us, too.
Well, and it's only gotten bigger.
It keeps getting bigger and better every year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, and that's because people are interested. And one thing, I'll be curious this year in particular, because we've got Eric Hatch comes on from time to time with Hatch Realty, and what he talks about is everybody was not everybody, a lot of people wanted to look at something new. They either wanted to renovate their house, they moved into a new house, now they want to buy some of the accessories that come along with that new space. There'd be a lot of people out there with ideas of what they want to do for their home.
Yes, and people every day walk into our showroom even and with ideas, Pinterest pictures from catalogs, whatever. And yeah, they all have an idea of what they want, and it's just a matter of finding it and getting it installed so it looks the way they want it to look. So
you're with Excellent Kitchen and Bath, which we appreciate you the sponsorship here. About finding it and installing it. The other thing that happened is sometimes the supplies weren't quite there. We just talked with our farm and ranch guy saying about supply chain. Yeah. Has that kind of fixed as far as the construction side when it comes to Excellent Kitchen and Bath, or people have been understanding, from my standpoint, saying, look, I get it. I'll order it now and expect it in a couple months. Just what's the latest on that, Tom?
Most things have been pretty good because we've been pushed out several months for starting projects. But just this morning, my production manager was talking about paint, and if you don't get enough for a certain job, the tint base for the paint is short, and they can't get it for a couple of weeks. So stuff like that is going on yet, and it rears its ugly head every other day.
I really hope that the significant other was not listening to that comment, because we just we had the one coat, and it's like, I thought we had enough for this space. We didn't. Duly noted. I'll be ready for that conversation when it does come around. But I think for the most part, like I was saying, people have wanted it. They understand just because of the world in which we live in now. It might take a little bit more time, but you guys are doing the best you can to get it when you can, and then get the job done.
100%. And we don't start a project without having everything in check and ready to go. And the worst part is if something is damaged or something comes wrong, then you got to reorder, and that takes time sometimes.
That's it. Yeah. And sometimes that's beyond our control.
Yeah,
we've all had a package that's showing up at the front door that wasn't an ideal situation.
Exactly.
Back to this, the Red River Valley Home and Garden Show. This is going to be, again, Friday. The doors open 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Friday, Saturday, you got 9 to 6. Sunday, 11 to 5. So you got a lot of opportunities going up there. You can. One thing about this, Tom, is you can go, you can look, you can get ideas if you don't have them already. But some people want to know, or to better understand how they can do things.
Right.
And there's all of that you can experience up here.
There's going to be all kinds of booths with demonstrations and stuff on how things are put together and how they go. And there's going to be some great seminars in regards to that too, about design and about decorating and about, renovation work, everything. So you'll be able to see a lot of stuff and get an idea of how to put things together also. So.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that's where I get interested in, because I've got ideas. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So I need at least that baseline of knowledge. Say, okay, well, what's that saw over there called? So I can get under that. And this is an opportunity for you to go ask those questions.
It is.
Yeah, there's interior design workshops. There's grilling with, Shields Home and Hardware. Your garden, which, of course, more and more people, that's another hobby that was started over the last 2 years.
Yes.
So, we can't really go out and socialize as much. Let's start a garden.
Right.
You're going to learn a little bit more about that as well coming up here. Yep. What am I missing? There's just so much. I don't even dare begin going through the vendor
everything,
list.
You talk about their giveaway, that she shed. That's going to be a great draw, and I've seen it, and it's amazing. Whoever wins that, whoever's backyard that goes into, they're going to be the talk of the neighborhood for a while because it's a really cool shed.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy hosting, because people are going to want to be coming over and taking advantage. Yeah, the she shed giveaway, you have that. That's the other thing. You've got a giveaway. You've got opportunities for kids.
Yes.
If you're an adult that wants to go have a beverage, have a burger or whatever it is, you've got that opportunity.
Yep.
There's Dog Day coming up as well for all you dog lovers out there.
Absolutely.
You got a little bit of something for everybody, Tom.
And I think, honestly, that the Corgi races are going to be a huge hit. I think that's going to be lined from one end to the other.
I can only imagine. I saw that on the list of Corgi races, which... I've got a lot of questions, but I don't know where to begin of how this came to be a thing. Again, when we're thinking about 60 years of this going on and the growth, and you think about just, like I said, I don't even dare begin going through the vendors, because I've only got till 5 o'clock. It'd take me till about 7.
It would. There's a ton of them out there. And again, I believe 100% there's something for everybody out there. And again, sounds like we're going to get a break in the weather on Saturday. It's going to be nice. Just come on out and take a look, because there's going to be so many things to see, and you're going to gain a lot of good knowledge while you're out there also.
And here's the thing, folks. I've got some passes for some of you, but I'm looking at admission of $7. It's affordable to go in there.
$7 is
you can't go to a movie for $7 anymore. No. You can't. There's the price is right for you. And as Tom was saying, if you had something on Pinterest, which some of us spend a little bit more time on than others, because there's ideas out there's creativity out there. It's not necessarily starting here, but somebody else does, and I might want that. You bring that in, you can show. You got catalogs as well to come, and this is an opportunity to learn a little bit more for only $7.
Yes, and 17 and under are free.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, that's a bargain.
Yeah, when you think about that on the Kids' Day as well.
Yes.
So all ages are welcome to this show. Tom, it's going to be a great time. I'm going to be up there, I have no doubt, on Saturday. So be ready for my
Sounds
list.
good. I'll be looking for you.
Very good. I appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it too.
Yeah. Tom Spathy is with Excellent Kitchen and Bath, but also part of this home and garden show, Fargo Dome, Friday through Sunday. I've got passes to give away, and we'll do that right after this weather update from Eric Johnson, Too Tall Tom on vacation. We'll get you the latest and wrap up the first hour right after this.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Drukens News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too Tall Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Those phone lines lighten up. You simmer down now, because for the first, and I want to emphasize this is the first pair of passes to the Home and Garden Show. Again, you can either go Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. You slow down on that phone call because I want a text to 35270 for the first pair. Emphasizing first, just simply text home to 35270, and one of you will get a text back from me for the first pair today of the giveaway. Don't worry, I got more. We'll have creative ways to get those out a little bit later on. But if you text home to 35270 and you want to go to the Home and Garden Show either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I got your hookup. You and a friend or you and a family member can go. Simple. All you got to do is text in for the first pair, and we'll tell you how you can win the other passes a little bit later on in the show. Speaking of later on in the show, we're going to get you caught up CBS National News headlines. Oh, in about 3 minutes' time. When we come back after that, we're going to check in with our friend Bill Werner, the Minnesota News Network. Boy, has there been a lot to unpack when it comes to Minnesota news, whether that's the police recruitment bill from the DFL hitting a snag out there, or say the fact that you've got a GOP bill that's wanting to put public dollars into private schools. Or speaking of schools, you got the teachers union in Minneapolis, St. Paul that are intent on striking. That and so much more going on the Minnesota news side. Elsewhere, when it comes to Minnesota, though, we just got through 5 days of, quite frankly, a blizzard. Not by the technical terms. Don't want too tall getting upset when I say, hey, we had a 5-day blizzard, because you'll say, no, we didn't. But you know what I mean. And when it comes to clearing those roadways of snow and ice, the way of which our states that we're bordering on right now, we all approach it differently. Minnesota, you know, because you've seen it on your vehicles about the salt. They're trying to reduce the use of salt over there. We're going to be visiting with an individual about that, and we'll give you other opportunities to win these passes. I'm Tyler Axis. This is Afternoons Live on the Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM, KFGO.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports. Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
3:05, here's a little on this date, as you're hearing right now. Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. Hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. February 23rd, 1980. Here's another on your date. Somebody that loved to get a little ornery out on the basketball court. 37 years ago today, Bob Knight launches a chair across the court. Just 5 minutes into a home game. Who else, coach-wise, had more meltdowns publicly than Bob Knight? Can you think of anybody? I cannot. If you can, 35270. I want to congratulate Amber while you send those in. She's got the first pair of passes to the Home and Garden Show that's taking place at the Fargo Dome Friday through Sunday. I'm trying to think of other coaches that have been historical of a meltdown as Bob Knight 37 years ago. If there's somebody that's a clear as day that I'm missing, you know how to get a hold of me. In the meantime, I'm going to get you caught up with some local headlines at the KFGO News Center. Bill Warner, our Capital correspondent with Minnesota News Network. That's next.
KFGO News, sunny, Fargo-Moorhead. It is 0. I'm Paul Juergens. The Board of Higher Education this afternoon approved the hiring of David Cook as the new president of NDSU. The vote in Fargo was unanimous. The board chose Cook to fill the position after conducting interviews throughout the morning and going into its executive session. Cook, now vice chancellor at the University of Kansas, is expected to assume the presidency by July 1st. He will succeed Dean Brashani, whose contract was not renewed. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead in rural Kidder County, North Dakota, Monday afternoon. The death may be storm-related. Kidder County is west of Jamestown. Sheriff Barry Vanetta says the body was located in a ditch shortly after noon. Vanetta says it appears 56-year-old Timothy Becker of Robinson left his vehicle after turning onto a low-maintenance road. Vanetta says he believes Becker got lost in whiteout conditions after turning onto the minimum maintenance road. The Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the State Fire Marshal's Office, and Walsh County Sheriff's Department were investigating the death of a person whose body was found in a burned-out vehicle. Sheriff Ron Juergens says snowmobilers discovered the body last Friday in a field north of Minto, which is about 7 miles south of Grafton.
We're not currently looking for any persons that we do have some leads on who it most likely is, but there's still some identification that needs to be done, positively identify this body.
The body was sent to the UND Pathology Department. Juergens says there are no signs of a crime in the death. Grand Forks has given initial approval to a Chinese company's proposed $700 million corn milling plant. It would be the largest private sector investment in the city's history. The council approved a development agreement with Fufeng Group that allows the project to move forward with financing and permitting. Construction could begin later this year. The project has drawn concerns from some residents over water, air quality, and traffic. The city says permitting will address environmental and other concerns. A second teenager has been arrested in the homicide investigation that led police to the Minneapolis apartment where a SWAT team officer shot Amir Locke, a 22-year-old man, while serving a search warrant. A 16-year-old boy is charged in Ramsey County Juvenile Court with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Locke's 17-year-old cousin has also been charged in the killing of Otis Elder in St. Paul. Police searching for suspects in Elder's death entered the apartment where Locke was staying. Body camera video shows an officer kick a sofa, and Locke is seen wrapped in a blanket, holding a pistol. Near 0 for our high this afternoon. That is our current reading. Will stay sunny. Some clouds tonight. Overnight, low 23 below. Sunny tomorrow, 3 above. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
You know, it's Wednesday. I figure what better way to spend the afternoon than checking in with our friend Bill Warner, Minnesota News Capital correspondent, to see what in the world's going on in Minnesota news. Bill, how are you doing on this? Do I dare say beautiful Wednesday? It is here. It's like 0 degrees. The sun's shining. We don't have a wind.
Oh, I was going to ask you. Yeah, I mean, it's not warm here either, but boy, you guys are really going to get hit tonight, aren't you? At 20-some below, huh?
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, Bill. We've gone on, and this is not official. I mean, meteorologists out there are cringing when I say this. We're on the backside of what was basically like a 5-day blizzard of constant wind, snow, blowing, and wind chills. You know what? The fact that the sun's shining and there's very little wind, I could be out there without a jacket on right now and feel comfortable.
Well, I mean, you guys, I mean, you're legendary, and to coin a phrase, right, or appropriate a phrase.
We spent a lot of money.
You guys know how to handle it. Yeah.
Our state spent a lot of money to make that stick, so I'm glad it is elsewhere, Bill.
I have noticed it. I promise you that. Yes.
Well, I've noticed that there's a lot of news going on down in your neck of the woods, whether that's police recruitment, private schools. Just a session rolling on. What's the latest? I don't even know where to begin with you today, Bill.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. One of the things that is interesting is that there are some proposals being floated in conjunction with basically to put a tax on electric vehicles, and the proponents of this say that the gasoline tax is a dying star, that we're moving over that direction in some parts of the state more than others, but that have to look at new revenue sources. It's interesting in that actually is coming from the Senate Republican side, not the usual place you might expect it. Certainly we have seen enough gas tax increase proposals come from the Democratic side in the Minnesota legislature. But this one is coming from Republicans as part of a proposal. What they want to do is capture the entire state sales tax on auto parts and dedicate it to roads and bridges. Now, that wouldn't be an increase in the sales tax on auto parts. It would simply take it and say it's all going to roads and bridges instead of just half of it. And as part of that, the sponsors were asked, well, hey, what about electric vehicle tax? And they said they're open to it. So I thought that was kind of one of the many interesting developments here this week.
It's interesting, and I won't pull you into the back and forth of partisanship, but that one the party that says, hey, we don't need to tax anybody, we need to lower taxes, it's which tax that there may be amenable to. But I'd be curious, and we don't know this yet, this will have to be figured out in committee, how they would tax. Is it on the purchase of the vehicle, or is it during charging? Because, you think of the gas tax, you pay it every time you fill up. I'm just curious how it would work.
Yeah, and at least there's a bill that's being carried by Senator Jeff Howe, from Rockville, which is in the St. Cloud area. And he says the way his bill would work is it would tax the electricity as produced at the utility to then be used for the electric vehicle charging stations, much like gasoline is taxed at the wholesale level. And then that, of course, is passed on at the pump to consumers. So that's at least the initial shot on this, and we'll see what happens. It's interesting that to me it's interesting as a political reporter that it's coming from the Republican side.
Yeah. Well, I totally understand that, and it's not the first time I've heard of such an idea. Right. But as you say, being introduced by the GOP side on the Senate. And infrastructure. I know we've got federal dollars that have poured in, but those are one-time dollars, and you got to find some way to sustain that bucket to continue on.
That's the argument. Another interesting thing that is happening this week is dealing with nurses, actually, and whether nurses should be allowed to work across state lines. Okay, in other words, nurses that are licensed in Minnesota go to North Dakota, or vice versa, and the problem that's just trying to be addressed by this, of course, is the nursing shortage. There's an agreement that 37 states are members of. It's a nurse compact. It's called a compact that sets uniform standards for these nurses in terms of instruction and licensure. And if you're as a state a member of that compact, then your nurses can go and work in any of the states that are members of that compact without being licensed in anything other than their home state, anywhere other than their home state. And this is a proposal that's being pushed by Republicans and their allies in this are a number of folks in the medical industry, the hospitals, essentially. The opponents of this, Minnesota Nurses Association, the union, says that what this is going to do is put Minnesota in a position where if we want to have higher standards than other states that are in this compact, the members of this agreement, that we won't be able to, or at least the nurses won't be able to move around. And they say that the real problem is that it is not a nurse shortage in Minnesota, that it's a lot of nurses are sitting on the bench because they didn't use that term. That's maybe not a very complimentary term. I shouldn't say that. Probably a lot of nurses are not actually working bedside, but would like to, except the working conditions are so tough. And they say that this is the result of hospital executives grabbing for profit and trying to shave the bottom line. So you can see that's another pretty contentious one that we're working with. It's going to work its way through. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, for me, just it feels as though there's a level of common sense to allow it, especially, and maybe that's me just saying that from being on a border community where Fargo-Moorhead is, yes, separate entities, but to allow that back and forth seems to make sense. The higher level of standard, again, I'm not going to pull you into any fights here, Bill, but that doesn't seem like it cares a lot with me, and that's just from my background being on the Human Services Committee here on the North Dakota side. But that's neither here nor there. This is one that I do hope gets some backing in the legislature to allow for that. I do think that there is some people that, yes, I agree, have been burnt out because of the situation, but to have any tool in the toolbox to help alleviate that stress and to allow people to fill those spots, I'm all for that right now.
And I just pulled up the map actually, and of course, in North Dakota is one of the states that's a member of the Nursing Compact, as is South Dakota, as is Iowa, as is Wisconsin. Illinois is not. Other states that you might look to in terms of having being medical powerhouses would be Massachusetts, which currently is not, although they've got some legislation pending in that area. California, similar kind of a situation, the legislation pending, but not a member of the compact, just so folks have kind of a point of reference on the real medical powerhouse states of the U.S. And New York is in the same situation as Minnesota, not a member.
Minnesota sounds as though it might be close to an island out there in the upper Midwest. Anyway.
Yeah, we're certainly surrounded by states that are members of the Nursing Compact. No question about that. Yeah.
Got some messages in, and I'll get to those in a little bit. Bill, I know this isn't legislative, but it certainly has an impact on the area. We've been hearing some growing drumbeat, so to speak, about a potential teachers' union strike in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm just curious, have you heard much about this?
Yeah, they're moving that direction. They've done strike authorization votes, and we're not to the point of an actual teachers actually being on the picket line. Those are situations where oftentimes strike authorization votes are scheduled and sometimes taken as a means of leverage in negotiations. So we're going to have to see what happens on that. But that's clearly on a lot of people's radar screens. You wonder under the circumstances that would have a lot of effect in any situation, but particularly with COVID being the way it is and a lot of students struggling and some of them being in and out of in-person learning into distance or remote, on and off, right, over the last couple of years and losing some traction and as far as learning, right? Yeah. That this would be a complicating factor, to say the least.
Well, and I'm going to use that to springboard into another topic that is in the legislature. You have these moments, and I know it gets contentious, and people that are listening to me right now that are just at the base, sort of anti-union in some aspect, use this as another drumbeat. But towards something like this, I said that there's a Republican bill in the Senate that would allow for the states to cover private school tuition.
Correct.
To where you start having more teachers take strike after the situation that's been going on for the last 2 years. I could see, I'm not one of them, but I could see more people saying, why would we prevent our dollars going towards these public or private schools then?
That's right. That's a Republican initiative, and it's a perennial Republican initiative at the Minnesota legislature. It puts them squarely up against the teachers' union, and the teachers' unions and Democrats are strongly allied. I mean, there's no arguing that.
That's
I mean,
not news, no.
Yeah, that's an observation, okay. So the question really is, how much traction does it get? There are also there's a package of bills that Republicans introduced that's called Parents' Bill of Rights, and that's one of them. The other is prohibitions against doxing by school boards, so that school boards would be prohibited from requiring parents testifying at school board meetings from giving their address. The idea behind that is, or the Republicans are saying there's been a lot of harassment of parents as a result of that. And then there are some other measures as well that deal with, the sponsors say, let's focus on literacy, let's focus on basic math skills, and be sure that we've got those in good shape. And there's, in fact, a hearing on that this afternoon in the Minnesota Senate. So a lot of focus on that. But, that is Republicans on their top three priority list, for the 2022 legislative session. The others being public safety and the educational issue as well, and then getting the surplus back to Minnesotans. And along the same line of that, the segues into this, I guess, pretty nicely, Tyler, that tomorrow morning Senate Republicans are going to unveil their proposal for returning the budget surplus to Minnesotans. And then we got a new economic forecast on Monday, and a lot of folks are saying that the budget surplus, which is $7.7 billion forecast now, that it could grow even to up to as much as $10 billion. Grow up to a $10 billion figure. So, there's a lot of dynamic going on here in a lot of areas.
Well, what I just heard is I better start taking notes between now and next Wednesday when we chat again.
Well,
there's going to be a lot of new info,
a lot to talk about, and then tomorrow on the House floor we've got House Democrats plan to spend $1 billion on frontline COVID worker bonuses, which the Senate Republicans have said no, we're not going to do that. We've designated $250 million already the last legislative session. Let's get that done first before we expand everything out. And we talked about that, I think, last week, how it's tied to the other issues now at the Minnesota legislature. So it's a lot going on here.
Well, that's why I'm happy to have you on the show here once a week, so you can get me caught up on all the things, and quite frankly, all of our listeners, which we got a lot of feedback from this week, Bill. I appreciate that. People talking about that, the fact that, Minnesota does need to join the compact, all of that. I will pick up the conversation next Wednesday, all right? Until then, you take care and stay warm.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys too, okay?
All right. Yep, thanks. Bill Warner, Capital News correspondent, Minnesota News correspondent now at the Capitol. Got to get you some of these messages before I get to your messages in the text club of iConsultants of North Dakota. I'm Tyler Axis. You got locked into KFGO Fargo.
Roberson here with another Don News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ
Gordon from It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets.
Coaches that had meltdowns, that's in response to what I brought to your attention 37 years ago today. Bob Knight launched that chair across the basketball court just minutes into the game. That's a long time ago. People bringing up Bo Pelini, the basketball football coach. Yeah. There was other ones as well. I want to get to Gene Caddy in Purdue. Guy was nuts. That name does not instantly ring a bell with me, but I'll give it the old Google as we get you caught up with KFGO News. Other responses to our conversation with Bill Warner about the variety of topics that we have here. One being about the public dollars going to private schools. This is something that we will discuss. This one, Tyler, Governor Walz would never sign a bill that allows any public money to go to private schools' tuition. I can't argue that at all. That thing would be vetoed fast. These bills are introduced by Republicans across the country all the time. Every session that goes on, you have some form of trying to funnel public dollars to private schools. Now, where I come from, I don't care if you want to send your child to a private school. That's well within your right. I've got no issue with that. By all means, I've got people that do that are personal friends of mine. That's fine. But I'm not there of taking public dollars for public education and turning that over to private schools. I mean, if there's means of which you can have private dollars go to private scholarships for their private school, hey, by all means, go get it. But I'm not there on the public dollars being funneled that way. We'll continue that conversation at a later time, though. When we come back, let's talk about salting the roads in Minnesota. That's after KFGO News.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did
JJ
you
Gordon
see
from
that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins, News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the
Her,
Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So during It Takes Two, they had a lunch during the noon hour in here.
Oh, yeah.
Terry Jackson and Paul Jergens, yourself.
Yep, I was here for that.
It smells like sweet, delicious fries.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for doing that in the studio, boys and girls, so the rest of us suffer through it all afternoon. Because now I want myself some fries.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You were, that's Rusty Alverson, by the way. I'm Tyler X. This is Afternoons Live on KFGO. We talked about the supply chain. DOJ wanted to be known and notified if, hey, there's anybody trying to game the system to profit themselves.
Yeah, anything sketchy out there.
But some of the things when it comes to the supply chain itself, there's been action items that have been unfolded. We talked about the ports, for example.
Yeah.
What was spoken about that earlier this week?
Well, you and I have talked about how the West Coast ports have been congested, and it's a problem. It's this new day and age that we live in and whatnot. And to help with the logistical problems along the West Coast, the Biden administration recently announcing that it's going to work with the Port of Oakland to create a 25-acre pop-up site for agricultural companies to fill empty containers. And it's hoped that will help relieve some of the congestion on the West Coast. But Mike Steenhoek, executive director of the Soy Transportation Coalition, says it is another step in the right direction. Yeah, no magic wand. But in the Senate, Senators Amy Klobuchar, John Thune, South Dakota, introducing the Ocean Shipping Reform Act. That is companion legislation that has already passed in the House back in December. And that might be another step in relieving some of this container congestion that we see, because the complaint has been is that empty containers have been going back overseas to countries such as China. And those containers could have agricultural goods in them.
Correct. Fill them up.
Yep.
Utilize them.
Yep.
Yeah, just silly. It's silly that it's going the opposite way right now. Yeah, we'll just send this one back.
Yep. So the Senate might be more deliberative as they
That's
sometimes...
what they claimed. The most deliberative body
in the world?
That's what they claimed. I don't know if that's the truth anymore, but anyway.
Yep. The House has passed it. The Senate's going to consider it. We'll see where it goes. Critics of the legislation say more, regulation on shipping companies won't solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's what critics say.
Well, time will tell, as you said earlier, because it's just going to take a little bit more time to get this knot undone in this whole supply chain thread.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. It is a big knot.
Thank you. I just kind of rolled off the tongue, man. Appreciate that. Rusty, I appreciate your time, man.
You betcha.
We'll chat again tomorrow, plus Audibles tomorrow. It's already Thursday.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
And coffee with KFGO tomorrow.
Coffee with KFGO. Hey, guess what? I'm going to be there. I don't have to do that last hour of Hyde Camp show.
Get out.
Yeah.
Really?
I just threw him right under the bus. I hope he was listening. Coffee with KFGO, the morning crew, news and views, broadcasting live from the Antelope Creek in Morton, North Dakota, 6:30 to now 11 a.m. You get an extra hour of news and views. Thursday, that's tomorrow. Coffee is on us. Stop by, say hello.
That'll be fun.
Be a full day tomorrow.
That'll be
we'll
fun.
We'll be hanging out all day together.
Yep, sounds real good.
Very good. We'll see you then.
Okay, sounds good.
Rusty Alverson, Sarah Heinrich, best in the biz, KFGO.com. You click on that agriculture tab, you can learn more about what they've been working on. I want to learn more about Minnesota testing new chemicals to replace that old road salt. You've noticed it because you've talked about, the rust. It's on my vehicle. It's because of the dang salt they're putting on the roads. Let's find out what they've been up to right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. you know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring.
Yeah.
That's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, voice of sports.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
The state of Minnesota is looking at the whole salting of the roads. Is there a dilemma that has been unfolding? What could be done about that? And we're going to be talking about that with our next guest, who is a part of the whole chloride situation over there when it comes to the pollution management in Minnesota. Her name is Brooke Esliston, joining us right now on Afternoons Live. Brooke, thanks for taking some time. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
This is one of those conversations that, being on the border, I'm in Fargo, but, we travel all over the west central part of Minnesota all the time. We've got a lot of listeners over there. The way of which we maintain our roads vastly different. People always talk about, well, it's because of I got some issues because of the salt that they use on Minnesota roads. You've been tasked, or have been part of your job is looking at salt and what it's done to the environment, what it could do to water supply. I'm just curious, how has this conversation been started?
Well, we at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency are, charged with protecting our environment, and our lakes, our streams, our rivers are a big part of that. And we actually have a state standard in place to protect aquatic life, so our freshwater fish and insects, from chloride. So chloride is obviously a part of the majority of the de-icer or the salt that is used to manage the snow and ice. And chloride is actually toxic to those freshwater species. And so our agency is obviously very interested in figuring out how to address this pollutant because it's important to protect all of the freshwater fish and insects living in our lakes, our streams, and our wetlands.
Well, and the lakes country over here, you got people's attention because that's one thing that we all enjoy doing, whether it's ice fishing right now or, quite frankly, that open water that we're all waiting for because of this long, long winter. I'm curious, has there been documented incidents where there's been, say, contamination? If I'm using the wrong words, feel free to correct me. No one else shies away as far as listeners go. But have there been documented incidents where there's been, say, the saltiness or the chloride that has gotten into some of this fresh water?
Yeah, there are several actually lakes and streams and rivers across our state and in many other cold weather states as well, where the chloride level has exceeded that threshold. We call it impaired. That's just the term that we use to say that it has crossed that line. It's crossed the level of chloride where it is no longer healthy. It's no longer healthy for those freshwater fish and those insects. And so our standard here in Minnesota, which many states have a similar standard, is 230 milligrams per liter, which comes out to be about 1 teaspoon of salt in a 5-gallon bucket of water. So it really doesn't take very much salt before it starts to cause problems for our freshwater fish and insects.
No, actually, when he said that teaspoon in a whole 5-gallon, you got my eyes like, oh, wow, that you're right. That's not a whole lot to have that much of an impact. And with how much we utilize some of this just because we think about the driving safety, in particular when it comes to this winter driving, I'm curious, you've been a part of these conversations. I imagine that you've had to have some of the conversations with the DOT crews. Have they been working on other alternatives that you're knowledgeable? I think about in North Dakota, and there's going to be people saying, I'm not saying this right either, but we've had, I think like a sugar beet situation that maybe we've used that. I'm just curious, how is the conversation when it comes in particular to reducing salt on the roads? How has that gone?
Yeah, it's been going on for several years, and honestly, we've had many conversations with a lot of different organizations, from our DOT all the way down to the private applicators who are, removing the snow and the ice at our shopping malls and, libraries and other businesses in our communities, because everyone from homeowners all the way up to the state often is using salt to help them manage their snow and ice. And so there's been a lot of progress made over the years. The Minnesota Department of Transportation has done some really great research over the years to help them better understand all the available tools and options for managing snow and ice, and then understanding how those may or may not affect the environment as well as our infrastructure. I'm sure you and all your listeners have seen the damage that salt causes to our vehicles, our roads, our carpet, all the entrances, coming into buildings. Your garage perhaps has got some corrosion from salt. So there's actually a lot of other damage besides the environmental damage, too, that has folks interested in better understanding all the available tools for managing snow and ice. And beet has been used by many organizations. Now, that's often added to a salt. Okay. So beet juice is usually added to a salt. It makes that salt a little more effective at colder temperatures, and it kind of makes it more sticky. So it kind of stays on the road where you want it. And so beet juice has been effective, but it also is added to, an already existing salt. So there's still that chloride. And when organic material like beet juice breaks down in the water, it actually takes away the oxygen away from the fish and the other organisms living in those streams and those rivers. And so that is also a negative impact. So some of these organic materials might sound like they're a great solution, but they actually all have their own negative environmental impact that's just a little different than the negative impacts we see from chloride.
Well, here I was thinking, our organic sounds great, as he just said. We talk about it when it comes to our food, but there's a setback in any given product out there. I'm curious, Brooke, when we talk about you're specialized in the chloride, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, the chloride reduction program coordinator. Let's say these freshwater, the fish environment, the insects, that they get contaminated with salt. How long does it take for it to kind of correct itself? Because I think about, in soil and our agriculture, in the western part of our state, we've got oil production, we've got energy production, and there's been, they call it saltwater, brine, whatever, that is spilled out from the byproduct there. And what that does to the soil and its productivity. I'm curious, in a water system, how many years are we talking about here?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. If I had the answer to that, we would be a lot better off here. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to understand how long, because there's no way for us to remove it. So that's one of our big challenges with chloride is it doesn't break down naturally. So some of the other pollutants that we're used to dealing with, like nutrients or sediment, will either break down naturally or we can remove them. We can put in a stormwater pond or a rain garden to remove that pollutant before it makes its way to our rivers, our lakes. Unfortunately, with chloride, it's going to remain chloride forever. The only way to remove it is reverse osmosis. So, I don't think there's any way we're going to have these huge reverse osmosis facilities on, in our rivers and our streams and our lakes to remove that chloride. So it's really, we can't remove it. We have to completely rely on nature to just reach a new kind of balance. And what that will take to reach a new balance, we still don't really understand yet because we really haven't reversed the trends. Most of the surface waters where we are collecting chloride data, we're seeing an increase. So some of them are already above that standard. Actually, in Minnesota, we have 50 surface waters that are already exceeding that 1 teaspoon in that 5-gallon bucket of water, and another 75 that are very close to that standard. But the rest of them, they might be low, but they're increasing. Every year, we're seeing a slow increase because that chloride isn't breaking down. And so it might take a situation where we can kind of cut off the supply, and then maybe it'll take 20, 50 years, maybe 100 years. It kind of depends on how much chloride is in there, the local geology, and what's coming into the system. So it's going to vary all over the place, and it's going to take quite some time. But the important thing is that we have steps that we can take now to start to reverse that trend, and hopefully in the next 15 years, maybe we can answer that question.
Well, yeah, reverse osmosis may be doable for the kitchen sink, not so much for that big body of water as a lake goes. Brooke, I got a lot of questions in the text club, but I'm thinking they're more geared towards the DOT as far as I'll throw them at you, and if you can't answer them, by all means, I understand because, like I said, I think this is probably more for the Department of Transportation. For example, can I ask about the native plants usages on road construction reclamation? Sounds like a mouthful, but I throw it out your way.
Yeah, I think that might be a better question for someone with MnDOT that has a little more experience with that.
Yep, and I'm getting a lot of that, and I tell you what, we'll put a call in to get the MnDOT on to address some of these, but I appreciate you giving me the insight as far as the chloride. There's a reason why we're looking for those alternatives because of, the outdoor use. I mean, when you think about the lakes country out here, people enjoy it, but you got to maintain it. There's just some small things we can do to make it a little bit better for everyone. Is there anything I missed before I let you go today, Brooke?
Well, I just want to let your listeners know that we have a lot of valuable information on the MPCA's chloride website. So if anyone's looking for, we have a short little video that will show you all the different shovels that are out there and how to use them properly so that if you choose to physically remove that snow and ice, that you've got the right tool for the job, as well as some tips about when salt won't work. For example, sodium chloride is not effective at melting out when the temperatures drop below 15 degrees. So you're going to need a different product besides sodium chloride or traditional rock salt if you need to use salt in those very cold temperatures. So I encourage your listeners to check out our website for more tips on what they can do at home and in their communities to help reduce chloride pollution from getting into our lakes and our streams and our rivers.
Very good. Brooke, very insightful. I appreciate you taking time to educate us all, and you take care, all right?
Yes, have a great evening. Thank you.
You do the same. Brooke Esliston, she is with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. These messages coming in, I tell you what, we will put a call into the Minnesota Department of Transportation. There's great questions. I think it's geared more towards that agency and what they're doing out there. And we'll get to that, I assure you that. But I got to get you with the latest weather update, and we'll wrap up hour number 2 of Afternoons Live next.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. you know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
I give you my word. I have got all the questions that you just threw in. I screen captured them. We're going to get the Minnesota Department of Transportation on to answer all those in time. In the meantime, CBS National News Headlines will check in with KFGO. Another pair of Home and Garden Show tickets coming your way right after this.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, Volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out.
Right.
And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Closer to that 5 o'clock punch out here on Afternoons Live. I'm Tyler Axton, as your host. Eric Johnson our producer, and we will get you to that 5 o'clock whistle together. Whatever you want to get off your chest this whole hour, it's you, me, this microphone, your cell phone. You can join the Landy studio line at 237-5948. You can also join the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club, which is easily found at 35270. I have got passes to the Home and Garden Show coming up in just a little bit. We will check in with Paul Juergens in that KFGO News Center. He will tell you about the latest when it comes to NDSU finding their new president. And we will have more on the individual who is David Cook, NDSU's new president. In the meantime, as we learn, I know this has been a whole process. Some have been critical of the process, others applaud it. We'll break it all down for you, what it means going forward for NDSU, and quite frankly, just this entire area. But first, Paul Juergens of that KFGO News Center will get you all the latest headlines next.
KFGO News, one above now, Fargo-Moorhead. The State Board of Higher Education has made its decision on a new president for North Dakota State University. The vote to hire University of Kansas Vice Chancellor David Cook was unanimous this afternoon. Board Vice Chair Jill Lauters.
Members of the board, NDSU, and greater community, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dr. David Cook as the next president of North Dakota State University with a start date of no later than July 1st, 2022, and to authorize Chair Ryan, Chancellor Hagerott, and SBHE's legal counsel to negotiate and initiate employment agreement with Dr. David Cook.
One of the other finalists was Sham El Rowini of Marymount University in suburban Washington, D.C. He was a dean of engineering and senior vice provost at the University of North Dakota before he left the state. The other finalist was University of Minnesota Morris Crookston Chancellor Mary Holes Claus. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead in rural Kidder County, North Dakota, Monday afternoon. The death may be storm-related. Kidder County is west of Jamestown. Sheriff Barry Vanetta says the body was located in a ditch shortly after noon. Vanetta says it appears 56-year-old Timothy Becker of Robinson left his vehicle after turning onto a low-maintenance road. Vanetta says he believes Becker got lost in whiteout conditions after turning onto the minimum maintenance road. The Walsh County Sheriff's Department in northeastern North Dakota is investigating the death of a person whose body was found in a burned-out vehicle north of Minto last Friday. Sheriff Ron Juergens says snowmobilers found the remains. He says there's no indication that a crime played a role in the death. Because of the weather conditions, Juergens says heavy equipment was used to clear a path to the scene. Positive identification will be made by the UND Forensic Pathology Lab. A 34-year-old Bismarck man died in an avalanche while riding a snow bike north of Yellowstone National Park. Nathaniel Wolf died Saturday from asphyxiation. Wolf and one other person were riding snow bikes along with 3 other people who were on snowmobiles near Cook City. Wolf had stopped his bike near a sharp ridge, and another member of the party was riding on weak wind-blown snow above the ridge. That vehicle triggered a slide that pushed Wolf over the ridge and buried him under about a foot of snow. Former Minnesota Mr. Basketball and NBA player Royce White wants to challenge Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar this fall. White announced that he's seeking the Republican nomination in Minnesota's 5th District. The ex-Hopkins and De La Salle star would have to face Republican candidate Cecily Davis in the primary election. Davis attended multiple protests following the police killings of George Floyd and Daunte Wright. Fargo-Moorhead, partly cloudy overnight. We look for a low of about 23 below zero. Sunny but cold tomorrow, only 3 above. Mostly clear, 25 below tomorrow night, 8 for the high on Friday, sunshine. Mid-20s Saturday, sunny, and mostly sunny Sunday, 18. Fargo-Moorhead, 1. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
So the Home and Garden Show, as we were telling you, with Tom Spieth, pardon me, taking place February 25th. That's Friday. 26th, 27th, Saturday, Sunday. I've got another pair of passes to get you, and all I got to do is answer this question for me at 237-5948. Relatively simple. We'll find out. And all you got to do is answer it. About this sitcom that aired for 8 seasons from 1991 to 1998. And really the plot, the details, it's centered on the Taylor family. But it was an eight seasons from 1991 to 1999, I guess, is when the last episode aired. All I want from you is the answer of that sitcom. And we'll see if Beth, who has called in first out of the gate, has the answer for us. Beth, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Do you have an answer for me as far as what sitcom I am referring to?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, Beth, you try again a little bit, all right? Eric's back there answering phone calls and still finding time to play Sounders. We'll continue on the phone lines, and we'll talk with Sam. Sam, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's one above. It's sunny. I'm gleeful about that. I can't explain it. But I wanted to send you to the Home and Garden Show. You and a friend or you and a family, it doesn't matter to me. All you got to do is tell me what sitcom aired from 1991 to 1999 that revolved around the Taylor family.
Home Improvement.
There it is, Sam. Home Improvement. That is the correct answer. I'm glad you didn't go with Tool Time because I have made that error so many times and then it's been rubbed in my face more times than I ever want to admit. Sam, you're going to go up to the Fargo Dome this weekend. I'm going to put you on hold. We'll get some information. Those tickets are going to be for you at KFGO, all right?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. He's on hold. Eric's going to get some more details there. There has been so many times of which this whole trivia question's gotten up, and I always go with Tool Time when you know dang well it's Home Improvement that had the show of Home Improvement inside it. That was called Tool Time. Now, if we talk about handyman and people that were repaired on, say, television, I'm not even isolating to sitcoms. We'll broaden this out beyond just the comedic aspects of Home Improvement as far as the top 5 home repair individuals that you've watched on your television sets. Perhaps you've streamed them on your computer, on your smartphone. It doesn't matter where. You've watched them. You've taken them in. Serious, comedic. It's all one and the same. Your top 5 home repair, home improvement individuals. Tim Taylor, who is Tim Allen, isn't the top home improvement repairman. Not on my top 5 list. You can send me who you think is going to be missing from this list because I think it's quite controversial. We'll find out here in just a little bit. Sam's going up there. I've got more tickets for others. We'll find another way to get those. But here's my not impressive 5 of home improvement handy people, I'll say. Okay? Number 5, bend to the era. Ty Pennington. Wasn't he the extreme home makeover guy? Do you consider him a home makeover individual because he was a little bit of a host? I think he's a carpenter. So he's my number 5. Number 4, that's where Tim Taylor comes in. Tim Taylor's at number 4 because you know what? Al Borland was a better handyman than Tim Taylor. Not just on Tool Time, on home improvement in general. So I go with Al Borland at number 3, ahead of Tim Taylor. Bob Vila at number 2. Anytime I pass by the town of Arvilla on Highway 2, I think about Bob Vila. I'm sorry for the residents, and it's not your fault. It's because of Bob Vila. That's how we used to pronounce it, Eric. Bob Vila.
Okay,
so that's number 2. So I got Ty Pennington at 5 because he wants to move the bus. He's that guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did in my mind pick where you got Tim Taylor at number 4. Al Borland, number 3. You writing that down?
Yep.
Bob Vila, number 2. Number 1. This is non-negotiable for me. Red Green. From the Red Green Show.
I was sketching down my list. That was
Red Green.
number 1.
Number 1 is Red Green because you know what? He found the most, what you would think are useless items in your garage, and he found a way to make them useful. And if you know what? If the ladies can't find you handsome, they better find you handy. So Red Green, the all-time great television handyman, repair individual, all-time. That's my top 5 today. Who'd I miss? Tyler, where does Mr. Fix-It in this list? Mr. Fix-It, a radio genius when it comes to home improvement and repairs. He's on my list, but television is the difference here. Danny Lipford comes in. I have no idea who Danny Lipford is. And here's the thing. You can throw up Property Bros. The thing that I guess I could throw Ty Pennington into the stew. Those shows on like the TLCs, they don't show enough of the actual improvement itself.
Oh, you're watching the wrong show.
I am. Well, because, hey, it's Property Bros. Or what's the couple? That doesn't narrow it down.
Chip and Joanna.
Chip
and Joanna games.
They're all couples now.
Yep.
And now it's, hey, they started off on TikTok, and now we got them streaming on Netflix.
Yeah. No, you're watching the wrong shows. You got to be watching any of the Holmes products, Mike Holmes and his children. That's home improvement where you learn about why you use quality products
Their
and
last
what
name?
mattered. Holmes. Yeah.
They're Holmes that works on Homes.
Yep. Homes on. That's literally one of their shows. Homes on Homes. There's also Homes. There's also Homes Inspection.
I walked into that one. But Red Green is. If I remember, that was on PBS, right?
I believe it's a Canadian show.
Yeah, I've got to. That's Canadian humor if you've watched it, and if you have, you've been missing out. I wonder how. I mean, I would assume that, Red Green was aged by the time that little Tyler was watching this on, I assume, PBS. But did anybody pick up that mantle? Who was Red Green's sidekick? Somebody out there knows at 35270. Because you had Red Green, of course, he had the red and black flannel, and he had the outdoors cap. Wasn't there another guy that was typically with him in the wood shop? For the life of me, can't. I could picture him. And I hope I'm not just getting delusional and coming up with this in my mind. But for the life of me, can't think of that guy's name. But Duct Tape, his friend, my friend, your friend. That's why Red Green, all-time greatest television repairman out there. Correct me, 237-5948. Or you can text in to 35270. We'll come back to that conversation. Also, somebody's upset when I said that public schools or public dollars shouldn't be going to private schools. We can have that conversation today as well. Whole rest of the way, it's you and me, this microphone, and your cell phone. You can call in, you can text in. We'll chat between now and that 5 o'clock punch out right here on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
I knew somebody out there knew it. Harold was his nephew's name. That is, if you missed it, it had like over 300 episodes. That's a long time, and it turns out the guy that played Red Green still around. And for the person that sent in Danny Lifford, yeah, I looked it up, but I didn't exactly know who he is. My apologies. Not very strong with names at times. Tyler, my favorite home improvement guy show was probably Paul Timmerman's Workshop. Side note, have you gotten your Panthers Cousins jersey yet? That is not going to happen. Kirk Cousins is not getting traded to the Carolina Panthers. And you know what? If he were, let me ask all you Vikings fans out there, are you going to embrace Sam Darnold for the next year? Sam Darnold as the starting quarterback, when you have got the caliber of talent there, you're gonna embrace that trade. Now, granted, you're probably going to get a draft pick if this were to happen, but it's not going to happen. Kirk Cousins is not going to Carolina. Does it sound like I'm pleading with you to not send him to Carolina? I mean, it's not that I haven't embraced Sam Darnold. I don't want that. I don't want him as my quarterback either. But I just, for all the talk about this being the case, here's the question. Would you take Sam Darnold all because you want to save a few bucks on the organization? It's just, for me, I don't see it working out. That's me from my side of this debate. For all you Vikings fans out there, I just ask you the question. Do you want Sam Darnold for the next year if Kirk Cousins gets traded to Carolina? Because who else would it be? I mean, do you go into the free agency? I mean, I guess Carson Wentz might be available. Do you take that on, or with all the caps and all that, and how much baggage is coming with it? I don't know where else you would move if you don't just retain Kirk Cousins right now. Who's going to fill that void? Because it seems as though the window of which these organizations have is now. Now the debate is, can Kirk Cousins get you through that window into that Super Bowl? I understand that's where the debate has revolved around, but with the other talent that's might be available, might not. I just don't know if you have a new coach, the new GM, and then all of a sudden you're getting a new quarterback in there, if that's the formula you want. Tyler Kirk on the Panthers, I can't hardly find a loss on their schedule. I could find probably about 14 of them. And that's coming from a fan. 237-5948, that's the Laney studio line. You can also text in, as so many are, 35270. Well, let's get into this one. And Tyler, so let's talk about how wrong President Obama was in regards to Russia with a credible threat. How wrong was he? Another misguided Democrat. I think this is much more important topic than Canadian home improvement shows. Sorry for us to throw a little joy out there for 10 minutes. For the entirety of yesterday's show, albeit aside from maybe 30 minutes, we tackled with a congressman in Kelly Armstrong, this Russia situation. We tackled with the professor at NDSU and Thomas Ambrosio, the foreign affairs side of this, the violation of international law. So, yeah, we've been all over this for quite some time now. To the point about Obama being wrong when it comes to Mitt Romney, can't argue it. I can't. He was wrong in saying that Mitt Romney, whom you're neglecting to throw in there, when for background for those that might not have followed along during the whole debate during this presidential campaign of Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, when it talked about the biggest threat of a foreign adversary, Mitt Romney said it's Russia. And Obama criticized him for saying, geez, Mitt, your foreign policy seems like it's set back in the 1980s. You can't argue that he was wrong. He was absolutely wrong. And I think that this has played out over the course of that time. And when we set out the history of some of the chipping away from Russia into whether it's Georgia, Crimea, now Ukraine, others as well, the cyber attacks, it's been going on for quite some time. Madeleine Albright had an op-ed today, I believe it was in the New York Times, if not it was the Washington Post. I think it was the Times. You can find it on your own. About her experience in the Clinton administration dealing with Vladimir Putin for the first time. And now looking back on that conversation and how his mindset has been here for a very long time, since at least, the 80s, 90s. But this chipping away has happened for quite some time. That's when I ask about the Crimea or Georgia, how this gotten away with it. Just a slap on the wrist. Vlad, just settle down. You're not the victim here, even though that you've convinced yourself that you and your country have been wronged this entire time, that you want the USSR back. Well, it's all culminated to this. And what I'm looking at the monitors here about fears of an all-out Russian invasion when they've got the intelligence, as we're watching this in real time, it's troubling. Barack Obama was wrong in that response. But I would ask you, since you're throwing out another misguided Democrat, how you feel about Donald Trump's response as a Republican and some of the base coming out. Somehow, actually, connect these two for me. You got Donald Trump taking on a podcast yesterday saying the move's genius. That Vladimir's move against Ukraine was a genius move. He basically is praising it. Some of his followers saying, yep, you're right, Donald. Great move. Genius. Vlad's our guy. But then to turn around and say, he wouldn't have done this if I were still in the White House. So was it genius? Was it not? But the bottom line is, if you're going to go out there and throw out Democrats, I want you to explain how the last administration went out and just kissed as much ass of Vladimir Putin and the Russian government as they did, and you applauded it. Explain it. 35270. Call me at 237-5948. We'll have that conversation right after this KFGO News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Too tall. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Brad Field and Equitable Agri-Finance, providing long-term fixed-rate financing to America's farmers and ranchers.
Fargo-Moorhead, 1 degree at 4:30. I'm Paul Jurgens. The Board of Higher Education has chosen Dr. David Cook as the new president of North Dakota State University. Cook will take over this summer for Dean Rashani, whose contract was not renewed. He will be NDSU's 15th president. Cook is Vice Chancellor of Public Affairs and Economic Development at the University of Kansas.
I think I want to take some time to just get to know people, do a nice listening session. People, of course, within the university, that would be students, staff, and faculty. And then it's really clear to me that NDSU has an incredibly important brand and place across the state and with the other higher education institutions.
Cook says he plans to be very hands-on and focused on building relationships. The other two finalists were former University of North Dakota Dean of Engineering and Senior Provost Hasham El-Rawini, now with Marymount University near Washington, D.C., and University of Minnesota Morris Crookston Chancellor Mary Holmes-Claus. 1 degree, this is KFGO News. One degree, this is KFGO News. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead in rural Kidder County, North Dakota, Monday afternoon. Kidder County is west of Jamestown. Sheriff Barry Vanetta says the death may be weather-related. He says it appears the man got lost in zero visibility and turned onto a minimum maintenance road.
When I arrive on scene, the ambulance is already there. It's a male subject. So then we go from there. We start assessing the body.
The man is identified as 56-year-old Timothy Becker of Robinson. While autopsy results are pending, Vanetta says he believes Robinson likely died of hypothermia. The Walsh County Sheriff's Office in northeastern North Dakota is investigating the death of a person whose body was found in a burned-out vehicle north of Minto last Friday. Sheriff Ron Jurgens says snowmobilers found the remains. He says there's no indication that a crime played a role in the death. Because of the weather conditions, Jurgens says heavy equipment was used to clear a path to the scene. Positive ID will be made by the UND Forensic Pathology Lab. The Grand Forks City Council has given first reading to a proposed hate crimes ordinance. It's designed to address issues related to harassment, simple assault, and criminal mischief. Councilmember Danny Weigel offered a suggestion about an enhancement penalty in order for the ordinance to be more effective. Councilmember Katie Datchler says ideally the state should enact legislation to deal with such crimes. A number of people addressed the council, both for and against the ordinance.
These ordinances are there that need to be applied to those who need them.
I think that we as a city can be a leader, not just for the LGBT community.
The only group not named explicitly in civil rights law or hate crime legislation is white people.
The council supported that measure on a unanimous vote. Final approval is expected in 2 weeks. The suburban Minneapolis high school has informed New Prague athletics officials that it will not compete in any further games against its teams this year because of racial taunting. The St. Louis Park Athletics director sent an email to his counterpart at New Prague, which said, "We will not be victimized by racism in the future." He says the boys' hockey program was subjected to racist taunts last week while playing in New Prague. A second teenager has been arrested in the homicide investigation that led to the Minneapolis apartment where a SWAT team officer shot Amir Locke, a 22-year-old man, while serving a search warrant. A 16-year-old boy is now charged in Ramsey County Juvenile Court with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Locke's 17-year-old cousin has also been charged in the killing of Otis Elder in St. Paul. Police searching for suspects in Elder's death entered the apartment where Locke was staying. Body camera video shows an officer kick a sofa, and Locke is seen wrapped in a blanket, holding a pistol. Fargo-Moorhead, partly cloudy. We expect an overnight low of about 23 below zero. Wind chills running around 40 below at times overnight. Sunny then tomorrow near 3 degrees. A light southerly wind and then light out of the east in the afternoon. Wind chills in the morning tomorrow, 40 to 45 below. 25 below, mostly clear tomorrow night. Sunny for Friday, 8 degrees. Mid-20s Saturday, sunshine. Mostly sunny Sunday near 18. Fargo-Moorhead, One above. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Final half hour of the Wednesday edition. Afternoons Live is underway, inching closer to the weekend. And you know what? This weekend we got the Home and Garden Show up the Fargo-Moorhead. Already given away a couple of passes. I want to give away a couple of more right now. And I'll make this one easy for you. Just be caller 7. 237-5948. That's the Laney studio line for caller 7. You and a friend or you and a family member, I don't care who, as long as you use both passes, are going to the Fargo Dome. I don't care if it's Friday, if it's Saturday, and guess what? You got an opportunity to get up there on Sunday as well. All you got to do is be caller 7, 237-5948. Listen to this CBS National News. We'll continue this conversation about Russia, all of it, when we come back right here on KFGO.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jurgens, News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing...
Programming-wise, we've got the KFGO Morning Crew News and Views Coffee with KFGO. That is going to be Antelope Creek in Morton, North Dakota, 6:30 to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Again, Coffee with KFGO. I want to thank our sponsors, Vision Ford in Wapton. A lot of the crew is going to be down there, myself included. Again, that's going to be from 6:30 to 11 tomorrow down in Morton, North Dakota. From 11 to 2, we got the Twins takeover during It Takes Two. I want to thank our sponsors, Kia of Fargo, the Ball Yard Training Center, Dairy Queen on 32nd Avenue. You got Amy Eiler, JJ Gordon. They've got a whole lineup of things. It's going to be wall-to-wall Minnesota Twins baseball coverage. All of that content you can handle from right here on 790, of course, AM or 104.7 FM. I mean, we're talking interviews from players, hosts, historians, all of that. Some of those super fans, you know them because you are, in your case, super fans of the Minnesota Twins. We will get to a Twin season. One thing that I'm encouraged a little bit about as time's ticking away here for them to get a negotiation and agreement, it sounds like the Major League Baseball and the Players Association are meeting every single day until I think the deadline is the end of this month. I want to say it's February 28th. That's already impacted some of the schedule as far as, the spring training, all of that. But I'm hoping that we will get some resolution relatively soon. But to kind of scratch that itch, you listen to It Takes Two for that Twins takeover tomorrow. This message or this comment keeps getting thrown in a variety of different ways over the course of the last week when it comes to what you're seeing unfold over in Ukraine. And I said yesterday when we were visiting with Thomas Ambrosio, NDSU political science professor, and I took international law. He was, if you've all had a teacher probably that in the course of, I don't care if it was elementary through high school, college, whatever, to where you had somebody that was so knowledgeable on the topic that they didn't even need the textbook. They just came into the classroom and they were just able to fluidly speak about any given topic, whether it was that day in the historical context. It blew your mind, and it made it so engaging. Thomas Ambrosio is one of those individuals when it comes to international law, when it comes to foreign affairs. And I asked this question of him because he keeps sending it in. And I said, I think it's a fair question as to, look, if Donald Trump was so friendly with Vladimir Putin in Russia, then why didn't they invade Ukraine? As quite frankly, it's, I think, pretty well known they've been wanting part of this. If you listen to the actual language of Putin, why didn't he do it during the Trump administration? And you can listen to the professor's take, or the doctor's take, the one that studies this, as to the variety of reasons of why Putin waited till now. Because there's a lot of people right now they're saying, well, it's because Biden's weak. It's because he's not sharp on foreign affairs, which I would argue against because of his time on the world stage. But back to that question that you keep sending in as to, well, why didn't he do it while Donald Trump was there? If he had somebody so friendly in the White House, it's not just from the way, and this is my opinion now, and you can certainly share your opinion and beat up on me all you want. That's fine. I'm here for you. But the way I observe it, you have got the wanting to reclaim what was old Russia in the minds of Putin. Like I said, in following along with his commentary, he and Russia have been the victim of history and breaking up of the Union. And to where you have all these other different countries, Ukraine. Okay, that's one aspect. But you know what has prevented some of that is the growth of NATO and allies, democracies that have, quite frankly, provided a defense against the encroachment of somebody like Vladimir Putin. Now, my observation, my opinion, and I think it's a pretty good one here, when you've got the last administration not really defending NATO, saying, you know what, NATO, no one else is paying their fair share here, that, you know what, we might not hold up that whole Article 4 or 5, whichever it is, that if we attack one, you attack all. You had the President of the United States, which some argue is a large chunk of NATO, not necessarily pushing the advancement of NATO, not coming to the defense of NATO. You had that in the United States presidency. That's the other aspect of what Vladimir Putin, I think, has wanted for quite some time, weakening of NATO. And for 4 years, he had a guy in the White House that was willing to do that. He was talking openly about that. So when you have that as, quite frankly, an asset as to some of the other means of what you've wanted for so long, he was getting some of that then. So if you're winning on that side, you allow what you perhaps is thinking the weakening of the allies. I think this is where I push back on the whole Biden's weak on this whole approach, because what I was watching, and again with my opinion, the rapid release of the intelligence. This is what Vlad's doing. This is what Putin's doing. And they were releasing that in real time. So for all this notion that, we're just here as peacekeepers, or we're here in defense of this group, there's this going on, this is why we are moving our military to these borders, that we're here as the good guys. The rolling out of that intelligence in real time pulled off any cover of what he was trying to do before our eyes, and also, as importantly, in front of the allies' eyes. So the unity, I think, over the last few weeks of allies saying, nope, we've got to come and have a stance. Now, whether the stance has gone far enough, there is where you and I can maybe find some agreement on sanctions. If that, in fact, will deter any further movement from Putin. But it did have a unifying effect, from what I saw, of NATO. And I don't know if that was expected. Your thoughts at 237-5948. You could also text in to 35270. Tyler, all the heartbreaking incidents since Trumpism has infected our country. Trump lovers now becoming Putin lovers. Ranks right up there at the top of disappointments. I'm going to let this one double dip. Tyler, so if you're working on that, it says appointment, and NATO was simply this: he wanted everybody to pay their fair share rather than U.S. paying for everything, which is a democratic way of thinking. As far as paying the fair share of some of the other allies, argument to be made there. But when when the foundation of this is if Russia or someone attacks a country that's a part of this alliance, then you've attacked all of us and we're coming to the defense. If you're not going to stand up for that, that's the crux of the situation here. And he openly did not come out and say, yep, I stand by that. The United States is willing to defend allies in any moment of attack. Talk about the funding level, and that's a separate argument, I think, from that more serious underlying concern that I think most of the allies had. Get you this weather update. We'll wrap up Afternoons Live. Got some little bit more time for your commentary, your thoughts on my opinion, yours shared as well. We'll see what's coming up in the Drive Time News. Couch Potato Radio leads you right into Hennessy on Hockey. That's your Wednesday evening lineup right here on KFGO.
Forecast from the KFGO Weather Center. Tonight, partly cloudy, low around 23 below, and wind chill readings nearing 40 below. For your Thursday, sunny, high about 3 above. Light winds out of the south around 10, shifting to the east in the afternoon. Morning wind chills sticking around that 40 to 45 below range. For your Thursday night, mostly clear, low about 25 below. Friday, sunny, high about 8 above. Saturday, sunny, high of 25 above. And for your Sunday, mostly sunny with a high around 18. It's currently 1 degree at the KFGO studios. Final segment of Afternoons Live with Tyler Access coming up right after this.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also